Welcome, folks. I am Jaby Koay, and we're going to talk about two films today, West Side Story and The King's Man, as opposed to King's Men. So I watched both of these a little while ago, and because of social media embargoes and review embargoes, I was like, I got plenty of time because the review embargo was like 3 weeks away at the time of watching it. And then, of course, things came up and I forgot to do them, so I'm doing them now. I want to say right off the bat that these are both going to be non-spoiler reviews, mostly just talking about the feelings elicited in me because I really want you to watch both of them. I think they're both really good movies for different reasons. And so let's start with West Side Story because that one is not performing as well at the box office as was projected. I think that they were projecting for $10 million opening and it got less than $1 million. I do recommend that you watch it, especially because it's unexpected.
You just caught me by surprise as well.
West Side Story is a remake, of course. And the thing about remakes of older films is they're usually updated. At least in my experience, they're usually updated to be more modern.
This ain't casual like that.
Whoa.
West Side Story is different in that regard where it felt like it was still in that era. When you watch it, it feels like it was made decades ago.
I wake up to everything I know either getting sold or wrecked or being taken over by people that I don't like. And they don't like me. And you know what's left out of all that? The Jets.
And I think that's brilliant. It's done obviously with the cast from today, but the music is all retained. What was updated, I think, was the choreography. If I'm not mistaken, the choreography was actually borrowed from the stage rendition of West Side Story, which I think is phenomenal. I'm not a dancer, I'm not a musical person. I've only gotten into musicals because of watching so many Indian films, but even in that regard, I don't really watch musicals, it's not my thing. So with West Side Story, it was finally an instance where I'm like, oh, like, I'm into this.
You're not Puerto Rican.
You just figuring that out? Is that okay?
Again, like, I'm not a musical aficionado, but someone who watched the film with me, Courtney Wright, said she loved the music in it. So, you know, take that as you will. As someone who's done martial arts and fight scene choreography, I found that I was appreciating the choreography within West Side Story because there was something different here that wasn't present in the old version of West Side Story that had more of a fierceness, more of an aggressiveness to it. It's hard to articulate that. You should just see it for yourself so you know what I'm talking about. I think that all that was well integrated. The final act of the movie, I'm not going to say what happened, the final act of the film, I liked better here. In fact, I think that I like this version better than the original version. I'm just gonna put that out there. I know that's probably a controversial statement, but I think Grace Randolph said the same thing. I liked this version of West Side Story better. And it's not because of the updated cast. It's not because, you know, they're doing things appropriately and not doing brown face or anything like that. I just thought that it was better overall. I thought that it left a deeper impact on me because of the way that it was executed. It's not that often that you see a film made like this today. I feel like it's very rare that you have a director like Spielberg who does things with that very classic style of filmmaking. So I highly recommend it. The Kingsman.
Kingsman, world's finest tailor.
Okay, how do I talk about The Kingsman? I am not a fan of the Kingsman series, just to put that out there. Like, I think it's fine. I didn't see the second one. I still need to watch that. But the first one I watched off of the hype of my friends and everybody around me who was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I went to watch and I was like, it's cool. Maybe I was too hyped up, but I wasn't blown away by it. I thought it was fine. And I did like the church fight scene. I will say that. I thought the church fight scene was dope. But outside of that, I was like, it's fine. I did go to a conference with the editor of the sequel to Kingsman. I don't know if he did the first one, but he certainly did the second one. He's also the editor of Top Gun. And he got me juiced. He got me excited about watching The Kingsman Part 2 and Top Gun because he did that as well. He also did Mission Impossible films. So I'm gonna watch it at some point because of him. But anyway, that's beside the point. This one I walked into with very low expectations because I'm like, it's the king. I don't even really want to see this movie. I'm just watching it because I got a screener to go watch it, a screening pass, I should say. And so I did. And I gotta say, I was blown away. I was so blown away by it that I actually walked out going, this is one of my favorite films of 2021.
Very clever.
I came out of that movie going, I need to see this again. Like, this was really good. It was really good filmmaking. It was mature compared to what we got last time in the previous Kingsman film that I watched, the first one. This is a more grown-up movie. I think Matthew Vaughn did a fantastic job with this film in terms of making me feel stuff, in terms of eliciting excitement and just all the feelings that I want to feel in a movie and making me laugh because it's still a Kingsman movie. There's still that Kingsman comedy in there.
Welcome, Englishman.
but it's elevated is the easiest way to put it. It's elevated in a very, very strong way, and I strongly recommend it as someone who wasn't a fan of the first one. Now, take that with a grain of salt, because if you were a huge fan of the first Kingsman, and the second one presumably, then maybe this one you won't like as much. I don't know. I think that it's a nice graduation or a nice evolution of the story. Oopsie daisy there. So for me, I want to go back and watch it again.
It's time to remind them what the Kingsmen are.
I want to analyze the action. There are some very surprising moments in the movie where I'm like, I didn't see that coming. I can honestly say I had no idea that was going to happen. There's a major plot twist in this movie that you will not see coming. Even though I'm warning you in advance that there's a major plot twist coming, you're not gonna know what it is. It's so profound and so unexpected, and it elevates this movie in a way that is just unbelievable. Like, I saw this thing happen in the movie, and I can't say what I said, but I was very verbal. And I'm at a screening with a bunch of press people, and I was very verbal because I was so surprised at what I saw in this movie. For some odd reason, that took me all the way to the rest of the film because it informed other things in the movie. Like, I'm being very, very ambiguous on purpose because I don't want to give it away. But yeah, I strongly recommend it. Acting, action, music, emotions. The Kingsman was a very, very, very good movie. One of the best of the year.
Civilized, but merciless.
I haven't watched Spider-Man yet as of this recording, and so it's like, there's other things to weigh it against, but it's definitely up there in my top 5 films that I've seen this year. And it might be in my top list of all time for quite a while.
The Kingsman.
Please watch West Side Story. Please watch Kingsman. Both films I recommend. If you had to pick one, I would say watch Kingsman. But if you want to watch something with your parents that kind of remind them of films from their era, West Side Story is definitely... West Side Story is just a dope movie. It's just very, very, very well made.
I'm not Puerto Rican.
Is that okay?
There are things I wish they did different. I don't want to get into that. It has to do with like woke culture and a little bit of virtue signaling that I would have appreciated, honestly. I keep railing against virtue signaling and woke culture, but I think that's the one thing where I'm like, oh, I wish they did this a little bit differently. What they were trying to do was be faithful to the material, so I respect it. It's fine. And I do plan to watch West Side Story again. This is coming from a guy who does not watch classic musicals very often. I think I own 2 or 3. I own Sound of Music, Mary Poppins, and Singing in the Rain. Those are the 3 that, that's it. But outside of that, I don't really pay attention to musicals. So coming from this dude, wanting to watch West Side Story again, I think that's a strong recommendation. So be sure to check it out. That's it for now. Thanks so much for hanging out. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I'm Jaby Koay. Peace out.